The 29th of June, over 7,700 fans traveled to the Zenit in Strasbourg to watch the offline phase of the ZrT Trackmania Cup. 8 duos had made it from the qualifications. Some players attended the stage for the first time, while others had attended every offline final of the cup. In the end, it was the favorites from Solary, CarlJr and Bren who could lift off the trophy and write themselves into the history books as the first ever duo to win it. But how was their road to the victory? When you look at the history CarlJr and Bren has at the cup, they are the two most decorated players. CarlJr with winning 4 out of 6 events in solo mode, while Bren has made it to the podium 4 out of 6 times. And when you look at the road to Strasbourg, the duo had no problems making it and won 7 out of 7 matches. The Solary duo ended up playing in the second semi-final. They faced off against Pack and Aurel, Spam and Rollin, and Holdal and Eirik. Many people saw the Gamers Origin Red duo as the strongest challengers to CarlJr and Bren. The first map of the semi-final was Sarah Sick Park. The duo who started off the best was Gamers Origin Red, with having first and second once we left the first map. But it was still close between the players, and it was only Eirik with 7 points who had fallen a bit behind. CarlJr placed third with 28 points and Bren 6th with 22 points, while the leader Aurel had 33 points. Next up was the U&I challenge. The two players would control the car together, with one player controlling the gas and brake, while the other had control over the steering. And whereas the other duo picked the players who had the least amount of points to be the player who collected points in this challenge, the Solary duo picked CarlJr as the player who would collect points in this challenge. Nonetheless, the Solary duo had success in this challenge with winning round 1, winning round 2, winning round 3, before Gamers Origin won round 4 in front of Reflex and Solary. Now CarlJr was the one in the lead with 64 points, while Bren now found himself placing last with 22 points. Heading back to normal driving, the Solary duo didn't experience the same success. Bahir Clef started off with CarlJr placing second behind Holdal, while Bren finished last. And the following round was even worse for the crowd favorites, with CarlJr placing 7th and Bren placing 8th. Round 3 on the map ended up with the Reflex duo Eirik and Holdal taking first and second, with Bren finishing 4th and CarlJr finished 6th. The penultimate round on Bahir Clef ended up with the duo placing 4th and 5th, while the British player Pack took home the round win. Pack was now only 1 round win away from finalist status. And while it looked like CarlJr finally would claim a round win in the last round of the map, both Pack and Eirik had success with risking the finish and overtook the Canadian. Pack now entered finalist status, while CarlJr was the closest player to him with 88 points. Bren, on the other hand, found himself placing dead last with 34 points. Next up on the agenda was the second challenge of the semi-final. This time the players would switch computer every time they reached a checkpoint. And once again the Solary duo showed that they had practiced the challenges, with only placing behind Reflex in the first round before winning the second round. So once we left the last challenge of the semi-final, CarlJr joined Pack in finalist status, while Bren was together with Spam placing last with 49 points. The third normal map of the semi-final was Tita T2. In the first round of the map, Pack finished his finalist status and became the first player to finish his job. The second round of the map, it was CarlJr who finished his finalist status, but since this wasn't solo mode, CarlJr couldn't celebrate until Bren had also finished his part of the job. But seeing his teammate finishing seemed to motivate Bren, and Bren ended the map with winning round 3, winning round 4, and winning round 5. So leaving the map, Bren was only 11 points away from finalist status. And the momentum Bren had from the previous map continued on the next map, and the streak of round wins got extended, winning round 1 and winning round 2. And after the second round of the map, Bren entered finalist status together with Aurel and Holdal, while Eirik had already been finalist for one round. In Bren's first finalist attempt, he failed the ending pipe, while Spam won the round in front of Rollin. However, in his second finalist attempt, Bren closed it out and secured the Solary duo a spot in the grand final. In the first ever duo grand final of the ZrT Trackmania Cup, we saw Matt and Revolution, Papu and Cap, Pack and Aurel, and CarlJr and Bren facing off against each other. The first map of the grand final ended up being Game of Lore, and it's safe to say that the Solary duo got a good start to the final, with CarlJr placing first in front of Bren in the first round. The following round, it was Bren who placed first while CarlJr placed last, and the third round of the map, it was the Gamers Origin Red duo who took first and second, while Bren placed third and CarlJr placed 7th. The penultimate round of the map, it was once again the Solary duo who found themselves placing first and second. The last round of the map, it was Pack who won in front of CarlJr, with Bren placing 4th. So already after map 1 was over, Bren had collected more points than he did on the 2 first map in the semi-final. He had the overall lead in front of Pack and CarlJr. And already after we left the first map, it became clear that this was gonna be a battle between Solary and Gamers Origin Red. Next up was the Be My Guide challenge. One player would be blindfolded, while the other players were to guide him through the map. Once again, we saw the Solary duo picking CarlJr as the player to collect points in the challenge. And once again, we saw the Solary duo having success in the challenge, placing second behind Gamers Origin Black in the first round before winning the second round. Now it was CarlJr who had 49 points and had a little gap down to his teammate Bren with 37 points. And after this challenge was over, we would see normal driving until the winner duo was crowned. And once again, Bren found himself having success in the grand final, winning the first round, while CarlJr placed last. The following round, the roles were switched and it was CarlJr who won, while Bren placed second to last. And the next round, we saw once again the players switching roles, and it was Bren who won, while CarlJr placed last. However, in the fourth round, we saw the players having success, with Bren winning and CarlJr placing third. So far, the Solary duo was 4 out of 4 wins on this map and looked to have a perfect map with 5 wins. But Revolution denied that and won the last round, with CarlJr placing third and Bren placing fourth. So leaving the map, the Solary duo had built up a lead down to the other players. Bren had the lead with 74 points, with CarlJr having 73 points. The closest player to them was Pack with 58 points. The next map in the grand final was Beta Dirt, and the story continued to be the same. Bren took yet another round win and CarlJr placed 7th. However, the next round was won by Matt from Brazil, with Bren placing 3rd and CarlJr placing 7th. And the Brazilian, who now found himself placing last before the map started, hadn't given up, and he took yet another round win, this time in front of Bren, with CarlJr placing 5th. In round 4 of the map, the Brazilian finished his hat-trick and once again won in front of Bren, while CarlJr still struggled with the map and placed 6th. In the last round, it looked like Matt would take his 4th win in a row, but the British player Pack didn't want to let the dream of winning ZrT Trackmania Cup slip away and won the round. Bren finished 4th and CarlJr finished 7th. So leaving Beta Alert, it was Bren who now had built up a solid lead over the others, while CarlJr had lost his gap. Bren left the map with 111 points, with CarlJr being the closest with 86 points. Bren was now only 1 round win away from finalist status, and for a long time it looked like he would take it, but sadly his aim in the end wasn't perfect and Pack overtook him. CarlJr placed last in the round, but after having a period of bad rounds, CarlJr stepped up and won the next one, while Bren finished 4th and entered finalist status. The closest player to Bren was CarlJr with 97 points. In his first finalist attempt, Bren got off to a slow start while his teammate fought for the round win. However, it was Pack who sniped the round in the end and CarlJr finished last. In his second attempt, Bren had a better start and had a lead together with CarlJr. Entering the last stretch, all he needed to do was to aim perfectly and his part of the job would be over. Sadly, both of the players from Solary didn't hit the gap in the end, and Papu ended up denying Bren the win. The last round on Patin Linéaire, Bren had troubles in the middle part of the map, and his chances at winning the round was close to 0. Instead, it was Aurel who took the round win in front of CarlJr. With failing 3 finalist attempts, it allowed the other players to get closer to Bren. And in fact, both Pack, Aurel and CarlJr was only 1 round win away from finalist status themselves after we left the map. The next map was one of the shorter maps ZrT had built for this cup, a map that potentially could decide it all. In the first round of the map, it was the British player Pack who won and now entered finalist status. CarlJr placed 7th and was still 7 points away from finalist status. The following round, it was Matt from Team Oh No who claimed the round win in front of CarlJr. CarlJr, who got 8 points for his second place, now entered finalist status together with Bren and Pack. And unlike his teammate, CarlJr didn't waste any attempt to close it out, and already in his first finalist attempt, the Canadian finished first. Now all he had to do was to wait for Bren to finish it off. And like in the semi-final, once Bren saw his teammate having finished, he geared up and got the round win needed for Solary to become the first ever duo to win the ZrT Trackmania Cup. CarlJr taking his 5th win at the cup, while Bren for the first time got the chance to lift up the trophy in front of the crowd. Pack and Aurel finished 2nd, with Revolution and Matt finished 3rd. So that's it for the recap of the first ever duo edition of the cup. What feelings are you left with? Do you want to see the next year's edition also being hosted in duo mode, or should we return to solo mode once again? Do you plan on attending the offline phase of the Cup in Paris next year? Well, feel free to let me know in the comments section below.